Welcome to Celebrating STEM Learning in Rural Schools with Project Lead the Way. My name is Carolyn Cooper. I am the Senior Vice President of Marketing and Communications, and I would like to welcome you to our program. Today, we welcome educators from across the country to discover ways that Project Lead the Way can enhance your students' potential in achieving transportable skills that lead to in-demand careers. Before we begin, I'll share a few tips about ways to maximize your webinar experience. We welcome you to join the conversation, share your stories, and ask questions by engaging with fellow participants and subject matter experts in the chat box. If you have questions, please submit them through Q&A, but don't worry if we aren't able to answer your question live today. We will follow up after the webinar with additional information and answers. On behalf of PLTW, I thank you all for joining us. During our time together today, we will hear from a panel of rural school administrators and teachers who will share their experiences with implementing, enhancing, and growing their Project Lead the Way programs. They will tell us their impact stories and shed light on how to access information on funding opportunities and ways to expand your PLTW program. To address local and global challenges, we need people who know problem-solving strategies, think critically and creatively, communicate and collaborate with others, and persevere when something does not work the first time. Project Lead the Way empowers students with these skills relevant to any career or role they take on, and prepares teachers to engage their students in hands-on learning. Whether designing and producing prosthetics, or deploying innovative water filtration devices in developing countries, PLTW students and the teachers who support them are empowered to make a difference in their classrooms, in their communities, and around the world. Our pre-K through 12 pathways in computer science, engineering, and biomedical science engage students in hands-on activities, projects, and problems, empower them to solve real-world challenges, and inspire them to reimagine how they see themselves. Our activity, project, and problem-based APB instructional design centers on hands-on, real-world activities, projects, and problems that help students understand how the knowledge and skills they develop in the classroom may be applied in everyday life. The APB approach scaffolds student learning through structured activities and projects that empower students to become independent in the classroom and help them build skill sets to apply to an open-ended design problem. PLTW makes a commitment to support all learners and continues to expand supports for accessibility in resources with our digital platform, full Spanish versions of PK through 8 content, and relevant and current additions like our full distance learning suite, COVID-19 module, and the PLTW Roblox game design module released to our current teachers and students. Now that you have a brief idea of what PLTW is all about, I want to turn it over to our panel of rural school administrators and teachers to discuss their experiences with Project Lead the Way. First, I'll introduce all of you and then we'll dive into our questions. We have Betsy Baker, Superintendent with the Spring Cove School District in Roaring Spring, Pennsylvania. Also joining us is Tammy Bennett, a PLTW coordinator with the Duncan Public Schools in Duncan, Oklahoma. Emily Hill, PK through 12 Innovation Specialist and PLTW Master Teacher from Clear Lake Community School District in Clear Lake, Iowa. We also have Tommy Lowry, a Launch Lead Teacher and PLTW Site Coordinator with the Thayer School District in Thayer, Missouri. And last but not least, we have Gina Richard, Assistant Superintendent with the STEM Curriculum Coordinator with the Star City School District, which is a PLTW Distinguished District in Star City, Arkansas. Welcome, each of you. And thank you so much for joining us. We're excited to hear about your experience with Project Lead the Way and how it has enhanced your communities and your schools. Tammy, let's start with you. My first question, describe your school district and the surrounding community and share with us why you chose Project Lead the Way.
Apologize for the bells, but school is just now out. I'm Duncan Public Schools. We are in Stevens County. There are 7 other little rural schools around us, and we are the largest school in the county. We have a total of about 3,000 students in our school. We make up 1 Duncan High School, 1 middle school, 5 elementary schools, and 1 pre-K center. We chose Project Lead the Way. We had a superintendent that went to a conference and brought that back to us about 10 years ago. We started slow with 2 classes in our middle school for Gateway. From there, we increased that the next couple of years to 2 full teachers into that area. And then we moved it into the high school, and we ended up with 1 class of biomed and 1 class of engineering. Then after about 5 years with Project Lead the Way, it was such a strong curriculum for us that we decided it needed to be our science curriculum in the elementary schools. And we put that in all 5 of our elementary schools, and we teach it kindergarten through 5th grade. And we have now 4 modules that we have incorporated into our school district. All of our students, after they get through with our high school program, then run into Red River with the Project Lead the Way there at Red River.
Thank you so much, Tammy. That's an incredible 10-year journey. Really appreciate you sharing that with us today. Gina, can you share with us the impact that Project Lead the Way has had on your students and student engagement?
Good afternoon. Thank you for inviting. First of all, thank you for inviting me to participate in the panel. Project Lead the Way has had such an impact here at Star City Schools. We onboarded in 2011 with a middle school and high school pathway for biomedical and engineering, and since then we have ended up becoming a K-12 Project Lead the Way school district, and it has made such an impact on our students, from the students down in our lower grades all the way through to our students that complete the pathway in our upper grades. We have had such success to be moving forward and pursuing what we're doing here with Project Lead the Way. We've had students that have graduated now and moved on to their college and careers in Project Lead the Way and are out making their way in the world. And that's something that we've kind of spoken about since we started in 2011 with PLTW, was that we wanted them to go out and to really serve behind the mission of PLTW and go out and make their way and be a contributor in our global society. We have such a rich impact for the change that it's made for our kids from an engagement level. I think that that's probably the biggest game changer for any of our PLTW classes. Whether you walk into a launch lesson at the elementary, any of our computer science classes, you will see our students highly engaged, and that has been one of the things that we have been so impressed with about PLTW. And I would say probably it's been, the final thing would be, it's been such a rich learning experience for all of our kids. Some have onboarded from the very get-go and continue all the way through Gateway in the middle school, and choose one of those pathways in the high school. And it's not only the curriculum, but it's also those soft skills that they develop, and that's been very good for our district. It was something like what we had never had before in our rural setting here in Arkansas. So it's had a huge impact on our students and on our student engagement. And that success, and not only has been for them in their PLTW class, but it's also made a difference in growing them as students here at Star City.
Thank you so much, Gina. I really appreciate you highlighting just the impact on student engagement and then career readiness for your graduates, and just the soft skills that the curriculum helps to cultivate, and how just interdisciplinary the relevance of those soft skills is. So really appreciate you walking us through that. Betsy, we often hear about staffing challenges in rural schools. How did you overcome this barrier and how did you choose your teachers for Project Lead the Way?
At the elementary level, we've trained 2 launch lead teachers in each of our schools. So whenever staff turnover at the elementary level, we're able to immediately train those new teachers with our own staff. So that's been great for us. At the secondary level, the individual teachers need to be trained in their specific course or module. So we've been fortunate to not have a lot of staff turnover, but we've generally been able to get our new staff trained quickly over the summer when we have had turnover, or included in a training which occurs during the school year while they're teaching the course or module. Now that Project Lead the Way does offer virtual training opportunities, that has made it much easier for us to get the staff trained quickly when we need them trained. We also do try to spread out our courses and module assignments across multiple staff, so that if we have one individual teacher leave, the new staff person coming in only needs to be trained in 1 or 2 modules or courses that that person taught, as opposed to having like one STEM teacher teaching everything. When it's spread out across, that way we can get them trained more quickly. As far as choosing our teachers for Project Lead the Way, when we initially implemented, we hired a teacher with the expectation that she would be our STEM teacher and trained in all the Project Lead the Way modules. And that was how we began our implementation. But then over the years, as teachers observed the students' response to the courses, then they asked to be trained, they volunteered, and we sort of expanded the program that way and started to divvy up the courses across multiple teachers. So that now, I mean, at our elementary level, every one of our teachers teaches launch modules. And at our secondary level, the majority of our science teachers also teach Gateway or one of the high school courses. So anytime a new teacher is hired, we tell them up front as part of the interview process that training in whatever particular PLTW courses or modules that they will need for their job is an expectation. So they're aware before they're even hired, and we really haven't had any resistance from anyone.
That's great. I really appreciate you highlighting teachers are asking to be trained in the curriculum and just the convenience of being able to access the professional development virtually. Certainly appreciate that. Tommy, if you could just build on what Betsy just talked about in terms of the impact that PLTW's professional development has had on you and your teachers.
Well, I'd also like to say first that we're relatively new at this, about 2 to 3 years into it. Um, and we currently serve K through 6 with PLTW launch with 2 modules, particularly with a science focus, because that's where we had determined our area of greatest need. And we also have a gateway program implemented in the 7th and 8th grades with the automation and robotics and design and modeling. Um, anyway, first of all, at the beginning, it was a little frustrating, I'll have to admit. A little bit different than what we were used to. Matter of fact, all the teachers, myself included, we had to learn to move out of the comfort zone with different styles of learning and teaching. Um, but it then had to learn that it was somewhat open-ended with different solutions to the same problem, and learning to teach the process rather than the product, because your process comes with the product. Your product comes with the process. And a lot of times, often we are wanting a product and we want that redelivered in the form of kind of a memorization and regurgitation. And I've learned, and the teachers have learned also, that through this style of learning, they're experiencing learning as they go. And it may even include failing at times, being frustrated at times, but they're also learning in the process. And the teachers experience that same process. So they understand what the students is going through. The teachers loved it because once they got used to it, they saw the value of the critical thinking and problem solving skills. It provided science curriculum that they didn't have before. And they learned that it fed over into the other curricular areas as cross-curricular in nature, where they could use it actually for like a technical writing assignment or maybe a mathematics assignment as well, blending those two worlds. And a lot of times with the ELA, they get to work on presentation skills and as well. And so they kind of sort of saw the program for what it was when we kind of introduced them. We just kind of brought them aboard. Actually, we were able to attend a kind of a showcase in our area, and beforehand took some key people, and we got a little buy-in that way first, and they were able to see really what the program was doing. And so then we had a summer workshop and introduced it to the teachers. And as I said, they were frustrated at first, but then they began to see all the possibilities. And I actually will have to say and add that the PLT launch program actually sold itself to our teachers. Once they saw it, once they experienced it, then it was something that they knew.
Okay, well, we may be having a little bit of technical difficulty. Give me a thumbs up, please, Miss Emily, if you can hear me okay. Thank you so much. Okay, we may come back to Tommy. He was on a roll there. I am eager to hear what more he has to tell us, but we'll come back to him. How about I pivot to the next question for you, Emily? How did you fund your PLTW program?
Sure. When we first started this process, we knew we wanted to jump right in and incorporate this or implement it into all of our classrooms in the elementary. So we knew it was going to be, a lot of money from the get-go. So in the spring of 2017, we applied to be part of Iowa's STEM Scale Up program. And that just kind of got us started with one module per grade level, just being accepted into that program. And they funded the training, they funded my master teacher training, they funded the kits that we needed to purchase. So that was a great way to get started. And then as the years have gone on, we have gradually added the modules per grade level. So now where we are now, we are up to 4 and 5 modules per grade level if it allows. So we have some local businesses, we're 2 hours south of Minneapolis and 2 hours north of Des Moines. So we're not quite close enough to get those Project Lead the Way grants, but I know they're great. But we really rely on those local businesses that have that science and engineering background to help us with funding each year. And, once we get to the high school tracks, basically, we kind of focus on, like for our biomed track, we focus on contacting like local clinics. And then, engineering and computer science, we focus on some of those businesses that we have in the area. So, when you're in a rural community, those businesses are really willing to step up and get these kids these types of experiences. And, they're also willing to come in and volunteer some of their time as well. So not monetary, but it's definitely a nice way for them to come in and show their support.
Thank you so much for just helping us imagine that community partnership and just how much support you're all are getting from your community and how that just ties into the career learning aspect of Project Lead the Way. Thank you. Tommy, I see we have you back. We lost you a little bit, but if there's anything you'd like to add to the response that you provided us, I think you were midway through talking us through how the launch program essentially sold itself to your teachers and just how much they appreciated taking on the role of student in terms of the professional development that they were exposed to. Would you like to pick up there? Or should we move on? Okay, we may have lost him again. We will move on to our last question, and I'll put this one to all of our panelists. If you were to share with our audience that may be thinking about starting Project Lead the Way for the first time or adding to their current programs, what would you share or recommend to them? And that's any of the panelists, feel free to chime in.
I want to share and kind of piggyback on the community piece of it, because community is a very important piece. And as long as you talk to your community leaders and businesses around, they were definitely be a big support of it. That's where we started with ours, is with businesses helping to provide the funding to get it started. And since that time, we have had more businesses put money into this because they see the benefit of it for the kids coming into their place as employees at some point. And I would also say that Project Lead the Way curriculum and the staff and the actual company has been just tremendous. There's not any time that I've ever been able to contact the Solution Center that they haven't replied back to me within that day. Just being able to contact any of the directors that are available to us, they have been right on spot. You know, it is just a great company to be tagged with. And we love Project Lead the Way, and we will definitely stay with it for years to come.
That's fantastic, Tammy. Thank you so much.
I'd like to add something too. You know, we also love Project Lead the Way. You know, we started in the elementary and then just kind of progressed into the middle school and into the high school, you know, as many of these people did. But when we first rolled it out with our teachers at the elementary, you know, we had some teachers that have been there for a while. So we created a presentation and just presented our 3-year plan to the teachers. And, you know, from the get-go, we made sure they knew that the funding would be there and that they would have support from the instructional coaches. And, you know, we had 2 master teachers, so that was kind of nice to be able to tell them as well. So, you know, just laying out that plan for your teachers to kind of know where you want to be the next year and the year after that is really important. And I didn't know how important the funding was until I had these conversations. And, you know, just because that funding can kind of stop the progress sometimes, but them just knowing that it was going to be funded was a huge thing for them to know.
Thank you, Emily. Just really talking through that sustainability and implementation and just having that path laid out at the onset. That's so helpful. Betsy, I see that you're off mute, or Gina, either of you have anything you'd like to add?
Yeah,
Sure.
I'll share a couple of things. I think it was really important at the very beginning of our journey, and it'll kind of loop back into whatever everyone else has shared. But from the very beginning, I joined our family here in 2012. So to have a facilitator to be able to kind of take care of everything, Project Lead the Way related, K-12 has been a great asset. I wouldn't say that you can't do it without someone like that, but it's great to be able to have all those questions vetted to me and anything that needs to be taken care of. That's been a huge asset, I think. And then, as Emily alluded to, really having that short-term and long-term goal. In Arkansas, we were funded through our CTE department with some grant funding to get ours started at the middle school and high school level. And we had a partnership board, and I thought that was really a great way. I would recommend that, even if that would be at the very beginning of your journey. And that was just a great way to pull all of our students, our partners, community partners. We're very rural, so lack of industry is something that it's been one of our challenges. So to pull the people that were very vital in our community to that partnership board was, I think, a stepping stone to where we are today. And then finally, I would say that the value add that you get for your kids, it's a great thing for kids. I mean, you just can't, I don't know how, there's no simpler way to say it. It's a great thing for kids because what they get to gain in those classes far exceeds just that classroom. It's going to go with them into their other content areas. It's going to reach way into other disciplines, but it's going to follow them in their lives. It's going to help them go and be successful in a career. And it's particularly when they get to the high school, those things, the industry grade software, the things that they use in preparation, even if they're not going to be engineers, even when they go into whatever medical field they're going to go into, the computer science resources that they have. It's what is happening out in the real world. And that, to me, that is, that's almost like on the job experience, because they can, when they're out and they're interviewing for those jobs, that's the conversations that they're having. And it's, do you know how to use CAD? Yeah, I know how to use that. Do you have experience with Rivet? Yes, I have experience with that. That came from their engineering, or if they can, they can write code proficiently, it came from computer science. So I probably could talk all afternoon about it, but to me, that's the three big things for me.
Thank you, Gina. Just that career readiness element and those transportable skills, those in-demand soft skills. Thank you. Betsy, I'll turn to you. Is there something you'd like to add?
Yeah, so I would just say that you should expect your teachers to be a little bit overwhelmed during the initial training, but that's okay. We had a number of teachers over the years who, after their initial training, expressed concern that their students weren't ready for the program, or that the content was too hard for the students, or even for the teachers themselves. And we just tried to reassure them that many teachers have had the same feelings initially, but they quickly change their mind after they begin implementing. What we have found is that our teachers are pleasantly surprised by how receptive their students are to the modules and the courses, despite the challenging content. And we find that our students naturally teach each other, and the teacher begins to serve more as a learning facilitator. And the teachers that we had that initially indicated that the course was just going to be impossible, there was no way they could teach it, were then later in the year asking, can I train next year on another course? I want to teach another course. So I think that it's just, in summary, I just want to say, be ready to reassure people that they will experience more success than they might initially think. They just need to give the implementation time to succeed. And once they have some experience with the modules and courses, they'll be asking for more.
Thank you so much, Betsy. Well, and thank you just to all of our panelists for taking the time to share their experiences. Your insights are just so invaluable to our audience, and we just really appreciate you taking the time today to share those with us. I will like to transition to our next presenter for this afternoon, Sally Irwin, Senior Director of School Success here at Project Lead the Way.
Thank you, Carolyn. As Director of School Success, one of my favorite parts of my job is working alongside school administrators and teachers in helping to create a vision for their students. We just heard from these incredible panelists how they have seen firsthand the way Project Lead the Way has transformed the learning and teaching in their schools. Well, the first step is that the transformation process is creating a strategic plan. And part of that plan is having a detailed view of the required investments and identifying what funding sources you can use to help support your program. Project Lead the Way programs vary in cost, but each program includes investments in 3 different categories: participation fees, professional development, and equipment and supplies. The participation fee is an annual fee that covers all of the curriculum access and software rights for your Project Lead the Way programs. To be able to teach one of our courses, a teacher must be trained by Project Lead the Way in our core training experience. This is an online training course led by some of the very best Project Lead the Way teachers in the country. And lastly, our curriculum is project-based and very hands-on. So there are some equipment and supplies that you'll need for your implementation. So now that you know a little bit more about the 3 different investments needed, let's talk about some of the funding opportunities to help you grow your programs. Each year, we have a wide variety of Project Lead the Way grants available for all the different programs in our pathway. We have grants for brand new programs as well as program expansion. These PLTW grants are made possible by our partnerships with leading organizations all across the country. Over the last 10 years, with the support from these very generous partners, Project Lead the Way has distributed over $75 million in school grants to more than 6,600 pre-K through 12 schools. And this year, we have more grants available to schools than ever before. Are you looking to make a bigger impact in your district by perhaps adding new Project Lead the Way programs? We have Project Lead the Way grants that will cover the cost of teacher training as well as program participation fees for the next 2 years. And you've probably joined us today because you are a rural school, and these grants really are earmarked for rural schools. Please check our grant opportunity webpage to find out more and schedule a meeting with a local PLTW team member. We're ready and we're more than willing to help you find out more about your district vision and help you with your grant application. Through these grants, Project Lead the Way will partner with your school or district to help you throughout your implementation journey and beyond. Applying for a PLTW grant is relatively easy through our simple application process that is located in your My PLTW account. And if you do not already have a My PLTW, you can create this account quickly and easily on our website. We award our grants on a rolling basis from July 1st to June 30th so that schools may submit applications annually. PLTW keeps the applications on file until June 30th of each year, so we may consider schools for more than one grant opportunity throughout the entire funding cycle. Our PLTW grant opportunities are amazing, especially this year, and we encourage everyone to apply. But in addition to grant funds, there are federal funding options that you can use to help grow your PLTW programs. The American Rescue Plan, or ARP, which was just signed into law last year, provides highly flexible, unprecedented funding through the ESSER III funds. This program creates a unique opportunity for innovation, equity, and access, which means schools are taking advantage in a variety of ways. These highly flexible funds may be used to support all three PLTW investment areas. So just to mention a few details that will help you understand the use of these funds. Again, just to emphasize, they are highly flexible funds, and they may be used for any activity currently authorized by existing federal law. Additionally, no less than 20% may be used to address learning loss through evidence-based interventions or to respond to students' academic, social, and emotional needs. So looking at it another way, that means that the ESSER III funds can be used for all of these items: curriculum for all students, teacher training, the allowable ESEA and Perkins uses, equipment and supplies, technology, and in-school, after-school, and summer learning programs. We have evidence-based papers, one for each grade band, which enable you to dive a little bit deeper into the structure of our evidence-based curriculum, learn more about our unique problem-based learning approach, review the research supporting the positive impact that PLTW has on student achievement. And you can download these resources from our website. So now I realize that that's a lot of information about the opportunities. So to help you break it down and compare, we have created a funding side-by-side resource. Also, this is available on our website. This will help you to see what federal funds are available and which ones you can be used for which of our three PLTW investment areas. You're also probably wondering now, where do I start? And for that, I'm going to turn it back over to Carolyn. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sally. Yes, we are happy to support you with next steps. We recommend that you connect with a PLTW team member to discuss any questions you have. As Sally mentioned, visit our website, www.pltw.org, to learn more and view our resources. If you select our programs tab, you can access a range of resources like our standards connections, program descriptions, and the program overview to help you plan your implementation. Also on our website, you can read blog stories about how other schools have unlocked students' potential with Project Lead the Way, as well as apply for grant funding at mypltw.org. This concludes the presentation portion of our webinar, but our PLTW team members and panelists will remain on the line to answer any outstanding questions you have. So please feel free to add those in the Q&A. And for those of you that won't be staying on, thank you again for your time. We will launch a poll to find out what next steps we can help you with, and you'll see that on your screen momentarily. Within a week, you will also receive an email with the recording of this webinar and additional resources to help answer any questions you have. But if you would like to reach out to a PLTW team member, please use the link that's been posted in the chat. This information will also be included in that follow-up email. Have a great rest of your day. We plan to stay on the line to talk a little bit more and answer some questions. All right, I will check in with my colleagues and see if there are any questions.
Carolyn, we do have one of our attendees that's raised their hand. So I was going to take them off of mute if they'd like to ask.
Thank you, Lisa.
Hey, outside Mrs. Dunn's room.
Can you hear me?
Have a great afternoon.
Yes, we
hear
can.
me? We just got to know. Okay, so basically, I've never heard of this of PLTW. The way that I found out about it is we just got a memo from our county board, city board, saying that you guys were an approved source for professional development. So my question, what I'm curious about is, you know, what do you have that I could use for professional development?
Thank you so much. Sally, would you like to take that one?
Sure, absolutely. Every one of our programs, so we have our elementary program is called our launch program, and we have professional development that trains teachers in the launch program. It is called classroom teacher training, and I think one of our panelists, Betsy, talked about having a lead teacher. So once teachers have classroom teacher training, they can actually become a lead teacher and do a train the trainer within their school. And that is only available for our elementary launch program. When we go into Gateway, we have 10 different Gateway units, and that is at the middle school. And each of the Gateway units is basically set to run for 45 days for 45 minutes of instruction. And each of those units would also, a teacher who wanted to teach those units would need to be trained in each unit individually, sorry. And then at the high school level, we have 3 different high school program pathways in engineering, in biomedical science, and in computer science. In engineering, we do have 10 different high school courses. In biomedical science, we have 4 different high school courses. And in computer science, we have 4 different computer science courses. And these are set to be like full year courses. You can, you know, they are flexible to run on a semester schedule if that's the way your school operates. But again, the teacher would be would go to professional development for each of those courses. And right now, go ahead, sorry.
I was gonna say, so what I'm understanding is that PLTW is a program that you get into that has a fee, which is why you offer grants. And when you become a part of it, there's training included with that counts as professional development. Am I understanding that correctly?
That is correct, yes.
Okay. So I mean, how do we go about finding how much? And I saw the grant application, but how much is it?
So it depends, where are you located? So I think that's probably the best thing if we find out where you're located. and we can get you hooked up to our a director in your area, and they'll be able to have a meeting and really talk to you a little bit more about what's available. Because some of our grants are actually industry, partner grants that are more geographically located. But for the terms of like this webinar that we're having, we just wanted to, we know a lot of times rural schools don't have an opportunity to get a lot of grants because of lack of industry in that area. But we have a Project Lead the Way grant specifically for rural schools that would help defray the cost of 2 years of your participation fee, and then training, and it depends on which program you would want to be trained on and what your implementation what your implementation would look like. And again, we have directors of school success that can actually sit down and talk to you about what program you're looking for, how to create an implementation plan. And this is what we do. We're willing to help you get started.
Okay, I'm from Tuscaloosa, Alabama, and I put that in there.
Okay.
So should I put my email, or obviously you already have it because you emailed me this link, but
Sure. No, we'll definitely connect you with the person that would be best suited to bring you on board.
all right, great. Thank you so much.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sally. I see several other questions in the chat. I'll just give voice to those so folks can hear those answers in case they're having the same question. Can you use the high school curriculum alone? And the response there is all of our courses in High School Pathway are standalone courses. And let's see, how long would one elementary module take to work through? Any of our panelists want to provide a response there? I see that Tammy typed one in the chat. Not sure if you'd like to share that answer, but I do have a response for that question. Sally, did you want to give voice to that answer?
Sure.
I can go ahead, Sally.
No, go ahead.
Here at Duncan, each one of our modules takes anywhere from 600 to 750 minutes per module. We allow our teachers, though, to use a 6-week period to get one module completed. And we try to do 4 modules in a year.
And the modules are written to be approximately 10 hours, but certain modules might take a little bit longer. If you're dealing with an automation and robotics module, that build may take a little bit longer, and you'll find that flexibility within your school, and you'll know that some modules can be done a little bit quicker, but ballparking at about 10 hours per module. And people have different implementation strategies on how they use that 10 hours throughout their allotted school day, or after school, or for summer camps as well.
Thank you, Sally, and thank you, Kimberly, for the question. I also see a question here from Anna asking about the status of the grant applications she submitted in December, and the response there is to contact our Solution Center, and we've provided that phone number in the Q&A box, as well as that email address, solutioncenter@pltw.org. Okay, I don't see any additional open questions in the chat. We'll wait a moment or more. Okay. Anyone have any additional final closing questions?
I just have a comment on the time. Initially, it was a little more time because there's a learning curve to it for both the teachers and the students. But that irons out as you go, and it gets a little quicker each time you do it.
Thanks for that addition, Tommy. I just am now seeing your comment in the chat. Thank you all so much for your time and attention today. Really appreciate the dialogue. Absolutely feel free to get in touch as things surface for you, questions after today. And we look forward to following up with that additional correspondence and email. Thank you all so much for your time. Take care.